Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio, your number one spot for beautifully unmarketable games. The home of the unmarketable, one might say. Why is this not? I am your host, Andrew, and I am trying to figure out why this media source isn't playing. Whatever. Anyway, I am here with... Let's move up to the very top. I am here with our first guest, who you may know from issue, 16 of Indiepocalypse, with the Ovur and 1DC. It's A90. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. I'm just working on my new jam entry right now.
Oh, what jam are you working on it for?
Amaze Me Game Jam.
Okay.
There's a $1,500 cash prize, which I kind of want to swindle for myself. So
yes, that seems like a good amount of. Now I have an important question: is there a cash entry?
No, it's completely free.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I have seen a number of them before. There we go. I don't know where this guy was hiding, but I got him now. I've seen a number of those similar contests before that are like, oh, $10,000 cash prize. You have to pay $50 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it's not $10,000. It's way too much. It's like, now is that related to Amaze at all, or is that just a coincidence in naming?
No, it's for Game Maker Studio 2.
Okay.
And Opera GX, I think it's called. Some sort of gaming browser thing. I don't know. I just care about the money. Right,
no, yes, listen. That kind of brings me to how did you find out about Indiepocalypse originally?
Money.
Yeah.
I just saw the second issue in the featured jams page on itch.io, and the first time I saw it I was like, free money.
Yes.
Which is why basically why I submitted my games, and
then there was a slight hiccup, and then 14 issues later.
And then 14 issues later, I submitted my newest games, which are, to be fair, obviously they were a lot better than the one I submitted back then.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Right. Time makes us all better. And you can see sort of like, speaking of time making us all better, we have here, you provided like a video to play. This is time making yourself better. A slow progression.
Precisely.
If you're watching it, I would look at the lightning bolt. I think that was an early,
That was my second finished game, I think. Okay. It was for Ludum Dare 39. And I was extremely proud of that power meter on the right side.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked so good. And now I look back and it's like, I mean, fine, I guess.
That's like
nothing special.
Yeah, it turns out now that you can make much better stuff, like this endless iterative process, and it's like, no, it's a
but this kind of amazement with what you create, despite its mediocrity, is something that I think has brought me quite far, because I didn't really lose motivation. I just kept on working. The thing that takes away most of my motivation is when I submit a game to a game jam and it does extremely poorly for no apparent reason.
Oh yes, that is right. The judging of game jam submissions, I have no idea how those work.
When it's public rating, then it's, to a certain extent, it depends on effort and quality. But there are some dice that are rolled there.
Let me get rid of this media source. Can you talk for a moment real quick? Perfect. No, for some reason, when I turned down the media source, realizing I was playing audio, you stopped talking at the exact same time, so those two bars went down in unison. So I was like, uh-oh, did I somehow Is there somehow some weird connection? There was not. The two were not connected, which is what we call coincidence. But yeah, you were saying you were like, yes, iterative design, and I think I liked. It's nice to have you also back in here after so long. Weird to say that it's been like a year even, but
I mean, yeah, it's a bit less than a year actually, because I remember I finished 1000 bit in. I published it on May 29th, which is my birthday, and I published 1DC sometime in March, like 14th, I think.
yeah.
So it's almost a year.
And now, as doing a lot of game jams and like a lot of game jams with its judging, how does that? How do you feel it turns out? Like in terms of like, if you, I guess rate highly, is it just like a satisfying feeling, or do you feel like there's like?
Oh, it's. I mean, depending on the number of submissions, it gets exponentially more satisfying. But I think it always is, at least for me, extremely satisfying to rank in a high position because I have achieved that so few times.
Yes. No,
apart from the first place in the over, I got fourth place in a game jam with 8 games, and oh yeah, and I also got eighth place in like a Nokia game jam, the second one I think, and that's it. And the other ones were like 80th, 100th, 500th, something like that.
Well, to be fair with Ludum Dare, you gotta kind of expect that to some extent.
Yeah, you do.
I think I was shocked when I got like, I think it was my second Ludum Dare. I got like top 100 on something. I think it was only one category, not overall, but
yes,
it's still a lot of.
Yeah, I remember I got like 80th or something. Let me check actually, with 8-bit knockout, which is just kind of like a Super Smash Brothers clone thing, kind of thing.
But listen, the people, sometimes you got to give the people what they want. But because I'm wondering about this kind of like this small scale, like how it turns out, especially like materially, like, because I mean, very few of them offer prizes, and like what people get out of it, because that's part of what I wanted to do with
what people get out of game jams.
Yeah, like besides a game, like because part of
reason I very valuable experience and feedback, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's always... For example, I've learned the hard way through, I think it was like 4 or 5 failed jam entries, that the first and most important thing that you have to focus on in game jams, especially ones that are rated by the public, is to make it as fun as possible.
Right.
Because it basically gives them a bias.
Yeah.
If it's not fun, then they'll just rate it worse than everything.
Yeah, because they had a miserable time. They're not going to stop and say, "Well, the graphics were good."
Actually, I got 88th overall with that game, 31st in fun and 28th in audio. So, and I didn't even like think about the audio that much.
I mean, to be fair with Ludum Dare, sometimes having audio puts you in a high percentage of audio.
That is a very fair point.
I've played through plenty.
I was just scrolling through the entries of this the Amaze Me Game Jam.
Yeah.
I've come across an entry that is made in Unity and has nothing to do with the theme. So. Typical stuff.
I've seen plenty of that stuff. How many games?
Yeah, but
click on that page and see if it's. I'm sure it's submitted to like 30 game jams. I've seen games.
Oh no, it's only 2-1.
Oh,
actually.
Oh, so they're just not paying attention.
And it was published 1 day ago. That is interesting.
Yeah, because I've seen some that are like.
Or maybe this is actually made in GameMaker. I don't know.
Oh.
It just looks exactly like the Brackeys tutorial. So.
Right.
That is an immediate red flag, I'd say.
That's got real Unity vibes to it. Speaking of not Unity vibes, speaking of me forgetting to say that it's live, like I always do. We have some questions here, pre-submitted, and I guess this is actually a perfect question, I think, to go with the rest of our conversation we've been having from Faye Gotts, which is, what is the most exciting project or anything upcoming we can look forward to from you? It says each of you. From me. You're the only one here at the moment, so.
I think I'd say Voidless, which I've been actually, in spirit, I've been working on it since May last year, I think, May last year. In practice, since September last year. Yeah. It's basically kind of like I don't know how to. It's like a flying simulator 2D platformer thing, where you just fly around a procedurally generated landscape that looks very kind of weird and Minecraft Alpha style, you know.
Yeah.
Unnatural terrain, but also kind of natural in a weird way. And you go across different worlds and you discover a strange history that links our world with that world and with me, and it's a very cool story, I think. And kind of confusing.
I have another question here from a previous guest, which is, what's a song you'd like to turn into a game? Or do any mechanics come to your mind when you think of a certain aspect of a song?
A song?
Yeah.
Well, this is a peculiar question because I don't listen to songs.
Oh, well then.
I only listen to instrumental music.
Okay. Oh, instrumental music.
But I mean,
still a song.
There's no particular piece of music that comes to mind. But I mean, it would be nice to have a game jam where you just pick a random song from your favorites and try to base a game around that.
Yeah. Like try to in one way evoke it.
I can try it right now, actually.
Okay.
I'll just play whatever comes up.
And I will wait.
Should I somehow send it over to the broadcast?
Oh, if you send it to me, I can figure something out.
Okay. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, just put a link in the Discord, and I will get that post haste.
Yeah, because I have to search it up because I listen to everything on the Windows Media Player.
No, I use.
There it is.
I use Foobar for this show because it lets
Foobar. Oh, so like Marble Blast Foobar.
It lets me have. It has a plugin, so I can display what's playing currently. Wait, can I do this? Can I say local file? No, give me a second. I will get there. But in the meantime, what am I looking for? Right, YouTube. Sloppily spell something. Get it there. Get my way there anyway. So as you were saying, making games. We all make games. We've got another question. We've got another question here. Oh,
no, but I was still answering the previous one about the songs.
Yes, I was buying time while we got there. I didn't know if you wanted to play the song while you were describing it.
No.
But don't worry. We made it. We got it. Done. Up. Playing. Go.
Okay, so do I say it now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Well, the kind of piano melody and the trills, along with the different instruments, they immediately made me think of separate kind of people running in a race and doing weird tricks.
Yeah.
Kind of like a rhythm game where you control separate characters on move constantly running from left to right, and that you have to. Maybe it's even multiplayer that multiple people have to press different buttons to do weird acrobatics to dodge parkour things. Like I saw some time ago a video of a game called Vib Ribbon, which I've never seen before.
Oh,
Apparently for PS2 or PS1 or something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. It's like weird loop-de-loops and things. Yeah,
no,
that's
perfect.
what it makes me think
I'm
of.
big fan of Vib Ribbon around these parts.
Yeah,
it's one of those. There was an era of games where you would you would swap CDs, and that's how you would play different games that way. So you would so the way Vib Ribbon works is that you would load in your disc, and you would play you would load in Vib Ribbon, and then you would load in one of your discs. So you basically play an album, and it would generate a stage based on the songs based on the songs you were playing through the CD.
Yeah, I really cannot relate to that because pretty much the only games I played were on PC or on a laptop. The earliest one, I started playing around 2010.
Yes, that is
realistically
predates that a little.
Yeah, given that I was 5 at the time, I think that's a little early, but
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really not. I really cannot relate to old retro consoles.
No.
I only ever played on PC, and I had one handheld 110-in-1 games Chinese console that I really liked, and then it somehow disappeared.
Yeah, I know. I've had my share of mall kiosk 101 bootleg consoles. That's more like a 10-in-1, but with different modifications on it. Was it one of those true 101 consoles?
Yeah, it had. Yeah, I remember. It was actually really nice. I remember it had 6 gambling games, 6 shooter games, a whole bunch of adventure games that are actually just platformers, I think, a bunch of puzzle games that are also platformers, I think, and something else. There were 6 categories in total.
Right. No, but that is more complicated than the one I had. The one I remember was here's 15 Contra ROM hacks. Here's 20 Mario ROM hacks. And they all kind of are slightly different. This one you start off with 6 lives and on level 2. But there was very few original games, and I'm pretty sure I bought that at a mall. There wasn't even some weird bootleg from a guy on the street. That was sanctioned by somebody. But that's beside. We have another question here from Skin Scrapers Unite, which is a more niche question, I suppose, than even the previous one. Which is, what is the most impressive animal you have ever been bitten by or have bitten? And presumably the animal has to be alive for this has bitten question.
Unfortunately, I have to confess that I've never been bitten by an animal or have bitten an animal, unless you mean animal meat.
Yeah, that is. So what would you say is the most impressive meat you've eaten? I suppose.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've at one point eaten snail meat or something.
Okay.
That's the most exciting I get. I nowadays I don't really eat meat anymore.
Oh,
or fish.
You don't particularly need to, as it turns out. But yes, I'm surprised. Usually we do not have very many questions, which is to say we usually have 0 questions.
But that is not very many.
No, that's infinitely
quite a small number.
Infinitely low. You can't get much lower unless someone filled out the form where they demanded me ask a question of them. Then I suppose we would have negative questions, but not that low. Now, I'm presuming do you do all of the every aspect of the game development yourself, or do you ever have collaborators for music or?
Well, for the vast majority of my games, it's literally just me.
Yeah.
Um, some time ago, I used to hire. Um, I think it was 2 years ago. My brother used to make the music for my games. He was actually pretty good, but he just stopped making music. So
Yeah.
and he also helped me out kind of with the design. But then we just kind of separated, and nowadays it's just me. For Voidless, I'm very proud to say that I have commissioned a guy named Code Shadow to do the soundtrack for me, and he is paying him is the main reason why I'm participating in this game jam right now,
Yes.
because I don't really have quite enough money. Luckily, I pay him per track, so
Right.
it's difficult to go into debt. Here's his channel, and um, here you can see the main theme. It's
Here,
uh,
I'll put that in the
there it
proper.
is.
I will put this in.
It's it's
Oops.
a it's honestly just really great. He does these videos where he analyzes the soundtrack of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is a fantastic game,
Yeah.
fantastic soundtrack as well, and he just does it so in depth that um, when I heard his composition skills when he made his Happy Birthday Gareth video,
Yeah.
I was just I kind of instinctively just went over to the comments and asked him if he would like to make music for me, and I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah. That's sometimes that's all it takes, and that's how I got here. 18 months later, it's just ask people and they say yes. Now, as we approach the end of a segment, I wonder if you can answer this question, this late breaking question I got from the Amish Avenger. It is, what time is this show? I don't want to miss it.
Um, this show is at 11 p.m. EST until 13 a.m. No, sorry, 13:65 a.m. PTSD. Uh,
Perfect.
just yeah.
Well, thank you very much. 890. We are going to be going to break, and then we will come back with our next guest. See you all on the other side of 2 minutes and 1 second. Thank you for being here again.
Yeah.
Whoops. I'm not in studio mode. I was so used. I had to mess around with the video, so I forgot what mode I was in. All right.
I can I stay here and get into conversations with other people?
Oh,
I assume
absolutely,
that.
absolutely. I think of this as like a radio show where there'll be one person being interviewed, but if you've got something pressing to say, you can just hop right in.
Okay. Yeah, I'm staying for now then.
Perfect. Whoops, we're going to be going to break as soon as I clean up this. All right. See you all.
All right.
Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Downtown Boys with Break a Few Eggs. We are here with our next guest, who you may know from issue 11 of Indiepocalypse with Saturdays. It's Pizza. Pizza, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm pretty fine. Kind of melting a little bit because it's really hot, but in general, I'm fine.
My suggestion: go underground. It's a stable temperature down there, more or less.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, it's the further you go down, the hotter it gets. First it gets cold, then it gets hot again.
Yeah,
Is that how it works?
You just go down a little though.
Actually, funny thing. I just checked today in Spain. It's colder than in Poland, which is further up to the north.
Spain is a hot
So
place,
yeah,
as far as I
it's
remember.
yeah the most famous hot place that is Spain is currently lukewarm, I'd say, with a lot of rain.
Yeah, I am. Am I on the same latitude as Spain? And I'm doing fine. It's not too bad over
I'm not.
here. I was outside, but anyway. Um. So, welcome to the show. I am organized. I'm trying to. People wanted me to do these B rolls last minute. I got to figure things out.
Hey, I'm
Anyway.
not forcing you to do anything. I'm sorry.
No. This is a challenge to live video produce. So I've got to. So this is a good way to start. This is to ask you a question to buy myself some time. So that question I have from a previous guest, being that, let me see if any of them. No, that was the only one person asked. So I'm going to ask you that same question. If there's a song you would like to cover as a game, what would it be?
I was hoping it would be the like, what animal did you eat question.
Okay, well we can
No,
pivot.
no. Let's stay with this one. I'm joking.
Perfect.
Wait, a song to cover as a game.
Yes.
So would the song still be playing while the game's playing?
Or evoking a song as a game, like making a game that makes you feel the way a song makes you feel.
Like it could just be an interpretation of the song as a game.
Yes.
From the top of my head, I'd say Majula's theme from Dark Souls 2.
Okay.
If you know that one.
That's already a video game, so.
I mean, yeah, but if you would make a song that's like evoking the feeling that this song evokes.
Wow, that sounds like real shade. Sounds like you're throwing some real shade on From Software, honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense now that you say it. It's kind of, Majula is what that evokes.
Right.
Okay, so it's got to be a song not from a video game?
Probably not. Or a video game that does a really bad job of utilizing the song.
Well, then it's definitely not Dark Souls. There was this terrible... Well, I call it terrible. Now everybody might think it's terrible, but it's called harsh noise genre. And it's like, for me at least, impossible to listen to because it's just like terrible noises for like 10 minutes at a time. Making a video game that's kind of like that, but like still something you'd maybe like to play would be an interesting challenge, maybe. Like, I'm not sure if there's the subcategory of harsh noise in video games currently. Maybe it's something like I Want to Be the Guy, just way worse.
Yeah, no, I like that. As someone who enjoys that subcategory of music,
Which one would that be?
Harsh noise.
You know that?
No. Well, I mean, maybe not strictly what you're talking about, but there's going to be some real noise coming on this show later, and like in the third segment. So, and I've played like some. Do you know Melt Banana?
Melt Banana, is that a video game? Is that a band?
It's a band. It's like this 2-piece band that just makes loud and fast noise.
I don't know it, but I might listen to it later.
One of their
Melt Banana.
One of their songs off of I forget what album it's off of, but it's I can look it up. But
on that topic though, one last thought. Sorry, why am I? Sorry, talking right into you. Finish your thought, please.
No, I was going to look something up so you can continue your thought while I'm looking up the album name. Oh, Squeak Squeak Creek. It's on that. The last track of that album is all of the there's 25 songs in that album. The 25th song is the first 24, all played at once. And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But as you were saying...
I just wanted to mention, maybe you know that one, Keyboard Drum Set Fucking Werewolf.
I don't know that.
No, it's like a short indie game that has a song playing, which has the same name as the video game, which is Keyboard Drum Set Fucking Werewolf. And I think the game is made by Cactus. You know, the guy that made Hotline Miami later?
Okay, maybe I do know this game then. I went on a real Cactus kick like a long time ago.
Nice. Yeah, one of the games in that little reel there is actually for a Cactus Clone Jam as well. But that game, Keyboard Drum Set Fucking Werewolf, I have to stop saying that name. Yeah. It plays as the song plays, and the game is made in a way that it can't really stop, so there's no desyncing between the song and the game.
Yeah.
And you kind of just play that song as a game, which is pretty awesome.
And that was those pre-Hotline Miami days were a wild time.
Yep.
Before definitely. That kind of just became what Cactus is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened since, I guess, Hotline Miami too.
I guess you probably make a lot of money. You don't have to worry about making games anymore.
Though he always seemed like a guy that made games to
Yeah.
make games, not to make money.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. That was a strange, like, what is it? Is it called Cactus Arcade? Those old, like, EXEs of like 10 games a piece or so. I think it's called.
Yeah, he made a lot of these.
I honestly, highly recommend if you like Hotline Miami, but you thought these games could be more abrasive and weird and unapproachable and confusing.
Yeah. Definitely. If you're into art, if you're into punk,
yeah,
those are your games.
Yeah, it's very telling that the first entry for Cactus Arcade is on the TIG source wiki. What a yes. Do people still use TIG source?
When I tried to use it like 3-4 years ago, it already felt like nobody was using it anymore.
Right. Or if you go there's like 5 people and you're like, it feels like you're walking into someone's parlor.
Yeah, but there's still so many devlogs of like Rain World and Return of the Obra Dinn. I followed all these devlogs when they were just devlogs, and then the games came out at some point. So I guess that still happens.
Yeah, I wonder.
I remember when I first saw that website, I was just like, so, like, people do things here. This isn't just like a museum. That's what it looked like.
I mean, I was hanging out on Something Awful at the same time, so this whole forum kind of thing seemed very familiar and like normal, but it really kind of isn't in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's. What do you mean? Reddit's just a big forum.
Yeah, just different in a way.
Yeah, no, that exactly. I don't want to keep. Anyway, yes, no, it is a whole different. Is an entirely different beast. Reddit. It's nowhere near the same kind of thing. I always forget.
I'm kind of too old for Reddit. I've never really used it. I sometimes try, but I'm like put off by how I don't know what it actually is, kind of.
No, it's just you just follow like r/memes, and then you go to the main page and you just see memes. That's how it works.
Yeah. That's basically Twitter for me.
Interesting thing. People constantly say that that Twitter users are always so aggressive and I've almost never seen aggressive people on Twitter in my experience. But maybe that's just because I only follow game dev people.
Yeah.
Same for me. Same experience.
Yeah. I think it's also like once you don't see them unless you're one of those persons with those tens of thousands of followers, and then you say something, and then a lot of people feel like they need to express their opinions, and then you know what you do? You just block them.
Yeah, that's exactly why I intentionally don't have tens of thousands of followers. You know, it's all part of the master plan.
Yeah.
It's all on purpose.
It's all future proofing. Now,
yes,
Pizza.
It's ultimate, yeah.
Important question that I got to ask about animals. I suppose we should get that. Let's get that out of the way real quick. Animals. Huh. Do you bite them? Did they bite you? What's the deal?
I mean, mostly cats, I guess. Yeah. I'm not sure if I ever bit a cat on purpose, but I certainly had my face like in close vicinity to cats. And I've certainly been bitten by cats.
Now, are these friendly bites or are these aggressive bites?
Playful.
Okay.
Definitely. I don't dislike cats at all, and I hope cats don't dislike me that much.
No, I think they're solitary creatures that enjoy company on occasion.
Same with me.
Yeah, it's I understand them instinctually. It's a very simple feeling of I can host a radio show and then not talk to people for a week. It's a great feeling.
Have you ever tried to host a radio show and not talk to people while on the radio show? Just be like, put them on the spot, don't say anything.
Right.
I've got something.
Yes.
I've got something related to that. I'll send it to you in a second.
Okay, perfect. So, Pizza, important question about Indiepocalypse. to bring it all back to the reason for the season. Why did you? So you did not find Indiepocalypse into the traditional manner, in that I emailed you and asked you if you wanted to be in it, which I do once per issue. But even those emails don't get answered, so I got to ask, why did you go, Indiepocalypse? This doesn't seem like a scam.
Oh, well, okay. That brings me to a thing that I didn't think I would be talking about, but
okay,
I thought it would be interesting to talk about. So, when I started making indie games and stuff, there were some people approaching me being like, hey, we can publish your game. And they were instantly name dropping, like, oh, we published games for blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, I've just been found, right? And jumped on the opportunity. And then later it turned out that, none of that was true. I don't get anything. I make games for free, and they hope to make money off of them.
And turns out you can also just lie, and no one can prove it.
Yeah. And then, of course, you at some point have your opinion of, whenever somebody comes up to me and is like, hey, you got a thing. What about you kind of give me that thing, and then I kind of give you something back later? You're like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Right. And everybody else, buddy.
Yeah, but then 2 or 3 years ago, when I had all those beliefs, I got a phone call where somebody was just like, on landline even, where somebody was like, do you speak English? And I answered, no, I don't. And I hung up because I thought it was a scam call or whatever. Right. I go back to, I was playing PlayStation VR, and I was really annoyed by having to remove the headset and shit because somebody decides to call me on a landline. So it rings again. Sorry?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, who even owns who calls anyone on a landline?
All right. So it rings again. I get increasingly annoyed, walk up to the thing, and it's the same person being like, hey, sorry, I just wanted to ask you, your video editor, blah, because that's my day job, editing videos, not making video games. And then a person tells me they're from Riot Games, and I thought, okay, it's another person name dropping something. Riot Games, sure. And I kept talking, and eventually I went to a meeting with them at fucking Riot Games, and it turns out all of that was true, and they needed a video editor. And since then, I'm kind of I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt, because it might just be a fucking big opportunity.
But to be fair, what a weird way.
Yeah.
Why not send you an email, a heads up, we're going to be calling you? Such a bizarre thing. Who knows?
None of that. Just calling you, being like, hey, do you talk English?
Maybe this was Riot Europe and they do things differently over there.
Yeah, in the end, it was a specific person that does things a little weirdly, and well, that way I got a job. So good thing.
Don't want to kick a job. Don't want to kick a job out the window. I'm submitting to jobs in this very pre-show. So
when I got your mail, I was like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna answer that.
Yeah,
sure, I'm gonna say yes. What's gonna happen? I'm not gonna give you my PayPal details. So
exactly,
which I might have actually at one point.
No, I mean eventually, but then it's clearly a real thing at some point. I got to pay you somehow.
Yeah, not that you. Yeah, whatever.
Well, yeah, and then it all worked out, I suppose. In the end, I didn't, or I'm pulling the longest con in the world.
I mean, you're called to finally get to that. You're called Pizza Pranks.
Yes,
I'm called Pizza. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yes, the true. This has all been I created this name. I heard about you a long time ago. Some guy I know who didn't pay you money, but got you to make games for them. He's like, this guy's a rube. And
yeah, there it is. It's all coming together now.
And so I built this identity. I'm like a horse ebooks, but for one person. And that's so.
Yeah, that's still in the back of my mind. Yeah.
So as we go to our break and end our time here, Pizza, I have to ask you, if you were to scam somebody, what would be the scam you would pull?
Oh God, I'm the worst person to ask that. I won't say I'm incapable of lying, but I'm really bad. I immediately start like laughing at myself for being so bad at it, and then it just kind of loops and spirals, and I'm just laughing my ass off instead of pranking off.
Let's assume you've got composure.
But scam.
Yes.
How would I scam somebody?
Yeah. What's your ideal scam?
Maybe like I've been getting into the universe lately.
Okay.
I might scam people into like buying the moon or Mars, like minerals on the moon, and I'm like, yeah, sure, you can go there and mine that.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think currently it's like kind of first come, first served.
Right.
If there will ever be mining operations on the moon, nobody knows who gets to do that.
It's like Antarctica. We just go, I guess somebody's got to own it, so we all own it. Or first come owns it.
Yeah, so I could like sell you some minerals on the moon if like rights to mine those minerals if you want to do that.
Listen, honestly, that sounds like a pretty legit scam to sell people plots of lands on Mars. But
yeah, colonies and stuff.
I actually gotta quit this job and get onto fake Mars land. Fake Mars. What's the word I'm looking for? Deeds. Fake deeds for Mars land.
Yeah, like gold claims.
Yes. Yeah. Let's get some claim jumping going on Mars.
Get Elon Musk on the phone. Maybe he can.
Yeah, that guy. I'll send him a meme or something, and then he'll be like... Well, anyway, whatever.
Yeah, or maybe you can get that. Wait, what's his name? Like William Gates, something like that. Like Bill Gates. That guy.
That sad divorcee.
Like,
I'm sure he's got nothing going on now.
The entrepreneur, like I think he's making a new like a microsoft thing.
Yes, I'll tap the microchip in my arm that he injected in me and let him know. Yeah. I'm sure he's listening. So I hear.
I mean, no doubt he's listening.
Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, so if you could just chime in, Billy.
Billy, just give us a call. Appreciated. I totally believe you can jump over that chair. We're gonna go on a break. I'll see you all on the better half of 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Thank you for being here, Pizza. And we'll be back with our next guest. Hello, and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Liz Fair with Divorce Song. We are here with our next and final guest, who you may know from issue 8 of Indiepocalypse, or even beyond the scale of Indiepocalypse with Tigachi. It's Ilya. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Hey, thanks for being here. Got to get out of the way. Important question. How'd you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Oh, yeah. So when I just started with Tigachi, like I just got it on itch, and I also started like on Twitter, and I had a couple of Twitter friend developers, right? And one of them was Hin, and I was just looking for ways to promote Tigachi somehow. That's how I like. Hin made a game called Trains, and it was on Indiepocalypse. And yeah, that's basically how I came to know about you. And yeah, I submitted Tigachi, and that's the first, and I guess the only thing I ever submitted Tigachi to. And yeah, I thought about making like a little money back then, but I mean, after that, it's been like really interesting just looking at what you do with this issue, like with design. I mean,
right?
It's great. I mean, honestly, I hope it develops well. I think it should be popular.
Me too.
Come on, I think it'll be great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
a slow process. Bitsy Adam followed me on Twitter the other day, and I'm like, slowly, I guess people are becoming increasingly aware of this. even if nobody talks about it, there's like an undercurrent of awareness.
Yeah.
That'll eventually pay off, maybe.
It should. I mean, there's like a huge amount of people who are interested for indie.
Yeah.
So why not? It's like it's a design that talks about indie games. Not very popular initially, and so on.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part, because I feel like a lot of the games, or a lot of, like that's why I led with Indiepocalypse being this home of the unmarketable, because I feel like a lot of the games featured, how would they even like? Can you imagine these games on an E3 show floor or whatever? You know,
I wish. I really wish they could go there. It's like to me, honestly, indie games have been like a huge source of like interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to play like those huge AAA titles, but honestly, I really feel like the new stuff only comes from the indies. I mean, obviously.
Everything, yeah.
Because they're
I mean,
unmarketable.
I think it's kind of out of necessity, because in order to shine, indie developers just have to take kind of the main building blocks of a game and just take them to their absolute like creative limits.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is probably the most valuable lesson I've learned in game design was like 4 years ago or something, the GMTK video on Nintendo's way of design, where you start with the interaction, you start with the game mechanics, and you think of an interesting way to interact with the world, and how we can make a fun and original game out of that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love GMTK too, of course. Of course, partly like I think there are like different types of indie game developers too. So like because like I've been following Mizzy Zizis. I mean, you probably know about him. And so he has a pretty interesting way, well, as you've described. So I feel like what he does is like it's always a similar process. Like he finds a kind of a gimmicky mechanic. Well, not gimmicky, but like a cool mechanic, and then builds a game around that. I mean, it's a working process, and it's very interesting too. But I mean, I think there are like different approaches too. So, like for me, for example, it's been a bit different with the stuff I do. Like it's just like an idea just kind of comes, and you have to do it and stuff. Like it wants to come out.
Right. I come from I come from almost the opposite direction, where my design approach is, well, I have a feeling or a character or something that I want to evoke. Well, what kind of gameplay can evoke that? And I try and marry the two.
Yeah, that's very similar.
Yeah, that's also a valid way to go about it, I guess.
So
one thing I actually do is keep a text file with all of my game ideas. Because I never have enough time to just implement one when I think of it. I have to keep it in store, keep it in the back burner. In this case, for example, for the jam I'm currently in, I'm reusing a game mechanic from a game that I made like 4 years ago that I didn't implement fully, in my opinion, but that was really interesting. So
yeah, no, I haven't ever when I have made games, pre Indiepocalypse stealing all of my time, I had an ever expanding collection of scripts in Game Maker that like, well, now I never have to do this again. I can just plug it in. I never have to do this again. I can just plug it in. So I can design. But Ilya, we got a lot of questions for you, so we're gonna break into those real quick. Get those out of the way. This one here is from Big Andrew, and it is, what is the status of Who's Lila?
Yeah,
your teachers have got me super excited, but I haven't seen any updates in forever.
But I'm really sorry for that. So there's a couple of reasons for that. So the current status is all of the mechanics are functional. Everything works, thank God.
Yeah.
Especially this, like the main thing. So the emotion recognition. It's surprisingly easy to implement. Like with the with the available libraries, I just used MGU CV. By the way, like huge thanks to Afrobot. That's another cool developer who suggested I used an actual neural network. So yeah, there. Unfortunately, I'm also like a student at a university, an architectural university, and at some point, like it starts to take way too much time and concentration. But I will not abandon this. Like I can promise that. I do abandon projects sometimes, but here there is just way too much done already, and I just love the idea and the plot so much. So, anyways, and another reason why I can't really show too much is to avoid spoilers because well, it's a narrative heavy game.
Right.
When I have like some eye candy, like today, right before this podcast, I've just posted this thing with the inventory and an announcer system. So just to to show off some soundtrack as well. But yes, so it's summer now, and my university work is coming to a pause, obviously. So I'll have much more time to to progress with the game, and hopefully, currently I'm not sure when it's going to come out. I will definitely publish a demo sometime soon, hopefully. But I'd say maybe well, half a year, if we're being realistic.
That's the tricky thing about indie development is like you have no idea how long anything will take because you won't know until it's done. We've got a question from.
I mean, the rule of thumb is just it'll always take more time than you think.
Yeah,
of course, yes.
Anonymous here is asking, how do you write horror? I don't know what the emphasis in that is. I don't know if it's just asking broadly, how does one write horror, or is how do you write horror? So feel free to approach that from whatever angle.
Yeah. It's an interesting, very broad kind of question.
Yeah.
So, for example, if we are talking like, I suppose we're talking like in the context of Tigachi.
Yeah. So I gotta ask you, how do you personally write horror?
I mean, right now, I wouldn't say like that. What I've ever wrote, I don't really consider it to be like really horror.
Yeah.
I mean, to be quite honest, like Tigachi is more depressing or frustrating than scary. And I thought of it that way. And another game that I did, which used to be called a short story, this Shastier thing. I'm not sure, Andrew, if you've seen it. Like the first game I ever did. Anyway, sorry. Back to the question.
I did not actually. I might have. I assume that I looked at it. Yes, I remember this clip of this person.
It's alright. It's a very small kind of game. It's the first thing I ever published. Like the initial version, the only two things you could do is write. Like you had to actually physically tap random keys on the keyboard, and like on the computer in the room, like in game, a story would appear. It was a very kind of physically demanding gameplay.
Yeah.
And another thing you could do is just go through the door and exit the game. And I loved this. I really liked this game. Then like a guy bought it for $300 or so, and it was such a surprise to me because it's such a I don't know. I made it free initially, and I never intended to, make money from it. Right now, it costs $1, and I'm well, I'm sorry for this. Like it was like part of the contract. I can't like sell it for less than the publisher guy.
Okay. So like I thought you meant like a person just tipped you $300 on itch.
No, that's he bought like the the rights to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, it could be considered horror too, but
right. But horror is a very vague like descriptor that means something different to everybody else in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I like making things that are beautiful, you know.
Right.
But if horror comes into play, like if you feel uncomfortable, is it horror?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like to me, for example, some things that I have like in Tigachi are kind of horrifying. Like for me, like the whole thing to have like a person as a pet is kind of scary.
Right.
And by the way, that's why there's no good ending, because you can't have a good. I suppose that's like, I'm sorry. Anyway,
no, listen.
Wait, can I just?
Yeah.
I just want to say about the good ending things. I remember watching Little Nightmares 2, and I was just like, obviously it's like very good horror in terms of like distorted faces and things, and everything just looking creepy, but like the ending really struck me because it's kind of just hopeless, and there's no good ending, and the true ending is just kind of a continuation, and it shows that there's no good ending, and I think that's possibly the most horrifying thing about the game.
Yeah. So yeah. I haven't unfortunately played the second part. I've recently like finished the first one. But anyway, sorry about rambling about anything
Listen,
but the question.
I have people on here to talk. We do have other questions, though. Let's just speed through these. Animals. What's your opinion on biting and being bitten?
I don't know. Like a dog bit me once when I was a kid, but no, I don't think I've ever bitten a live animal.
Perfect. Now we have one final question here from Indiepocalypse 2, the third A. I don't know if that's supposed to continue on, and they're in a text space. The third A, like triple A. I got you. Why did you decide to include a fully NSFW model for Tigachi, even though it is never seen in game? Love your stuff. Make more porn.
Yeah. Well, it's when I just started this project, like I was actually fluctuating between going a like full NSFW kind of game dev and something that's that's just actual games. I mean,
listen, they're also actual games.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
porn games are real games. I actually like this question because I think it's a very interesting subject. I've only had one actual erotic game submission to Indiepocalypse that didn't make it in just because it just wasn't very interesting, not because of content.
Yeah. I mean, you might know, but I also have like an alt account on itch.io, and it is a NSFW account. There's like one game there. So I mean, I'm not against making that, but to me, when I make those kind of games, it's like it's somehow, I don't know. It's just my personal opinion about my NSFW games. It's like I don't take them too seriously. Anyway, back to the question.
Yes.
So yeah, at first, there was a possibility of this all just being a just straight up boring game, but after that, because like with those like first projects, you never know whether you'll finish them. It's like in my case, it is so. And so I've made that, and after making the model, like a lot more ideas just kind of came up, and I've decided to to make the game that's that came out. So
Yeah.
the Tigachi, and it actually comes out. It's actually in game, like in the shower scene. You can't really see it fully, obviously, but
Right.
yeah, it's there.
Yes, yeah, but you clearly you put the work in. Yeah, that's
It's kind of yeah. I don't know.
yeah. It's a honestly it's like a weird thing with like NSFW games because they straddle
Mhm.
like a because it's like a clear split in the market. It feels like you are either one or the other, and there's
Mhm.
unless
I
you
think
are
it's. I believe it's rightfully so, though. I mean, like,
right, yes,
uh,
yes, but I mean, I guess like unless you're a AAA or whatever, then then it's tasteful nudity or something, and you can be The
yeah.
Witcher.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, still, if like, well, yeah, you're right, but I suppose it's like it's more about intent and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, you can have nudity and it still won't be like straight up porn. Um, but yeah, I think the split is like what's the word? It's like it's good that it's there. Like I
Yeah.
had an option to. Initially I thought about like making like just dumping all the games I make into one account, but then I realized that although like there's a lot of subscribers and supporters there, they probably not all of them would like to see that.
Right,
So yeah.
right. It's yeah, exactly. It can be something you don't like. No, I'm at work. I don't want to see this, or even like my mindset is at work, or like not safe for
Yes.
my. There are people who don't want to casually scroll through
Yeah,
someone's
and
itch
I mean
page.
that's natural kind of. And I mean another like thing is sometimes you don't really want to see that side of a person, right? Because I
Yes,
mean, of
yes,
course it's very natural to everybody, but it's also usually a thing you don't really like show off in
right. You don't talk about it
normal life,
often.
so to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people get their alt accounts and they
Hmm.
download these games incognito. They go, ooh,
Yeah.
they go a Patreon. I'd love to subscribe and get that extra content because it speaks to what I say, but then people would know there's a paper trail to me. Or
Yeah, it's a strange thing,
yeah,
but also like it's been here forever.
right. The oldest
Um,
profession, as they say. But yeah, no, it's a. But anyway, what's enough about? Listen, let's get our minds out of the gutter. This
that's right.
let's step away from this filth for a moment and talk about what do you have any? Would you cover a song as a game?
Oh, I've been waiting for this question.
Perfect.
I mean, I wouldn't like when I was like younger and when I was still in school, I used to get all those crazy ideas from songs. So like
Yeah.
I wasn't like thinking about mediums, like the medium specifically. I didn't know what I wanted to make, like a game or a comic or anything. But I would like get those like pictures, like very
Yeah.
vivid kind of images from some songs. I used to love, well, I mean, I still like them. A band called Bondage Fairies.
Okay.
Um, Probably.
Unfamiliar.
It's like an indie Swedish kind of punk, cheap tune kind of game. Well, anyway, so yeah, like now I'd say that a lot of what I do for the Who's Lila project is inspired by like songs, and so like you listen to a song and you get ideas that like kind of that you could only have while listening to it. Like I love Doors,
Yeah.
like this kind of a like to me it's been always kind of a bit occult or very kind of almost animalistic the way that Jim Morrison just sings, but in a in a less harsh or
Yeah.
like way than for example metal and so on. I
Right.
don't know, it's just like this kind of it's always different for everybody, but
Yeah.
for
Everyone
me it's
has a different like approach or a different feel to like what a song can mean to them.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, because music is abstract. It's just like that's why I don't like I don't usually like discussing music with people because like you don't really get each other, you know.
No, yes. No, and especially
So
like once you've dipped like your toe outside of like whatever is like the mainstream of the moment, I feel like music, perhaps more than anything else, is like a giant well which no one can. We're all in a big ocean. No one knows. No one can see each other.
yeah,
And we're
like you're right. Like most of the time, you don't know the band, or I mean, even if you do, even if you like the same music and you like the same bands, it's utterly different. And like to me, there's usually no point in apart from like technicalities because like I play an instrument and so on. Apart from that, there isn't much to discuss there, I suppose.
yeah, it's hard to describe how something
Mhm.
feels. You know.
Yeah.
But speaking about
Um,
how things feel, I'm feeling ready for a break here.
all right.
And it was a great moment to it's breezed by now that I've cut it down to 20 minutes. I feel like I'm just like coasting. It's so nice. But honestly, I think 3-hour shows were way too long. They were unreasonable
Yeah, it
to
must have been hard.
yeah to keep the people on. And honestly, I think for people to listen to, like, oh, I'll listen to Indiepocalypse Radio 2.5 hours. Jesus.
Right.
But Eli, thank you for being here. We're gonna come on back at the end to have everybody for a real chat. But I'll see you all
Yeah.
in.
Thank you.
Listen, thank you. I'll see you in a minute and 37.
Mhm.
Real quick. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Half Japanese with Shy Around Girls. We were just talking about in the break room about Indiepocalypse and how much we all like it. Sorry. No, you were saying though.
Yeah, so yeah, I was just saying that the ideas like are super cool, and I mean, I think that's also an idea that like can and has to gain traction at some point.
Right.
But oh well, well I
Yeah.
think it should, but we'll see.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for like I realized this in talking to someone over email recently that I think games, like one of their biggest hurdles is they never formed, like because games grew up with the internet pretty much more or less, especially like the larger indie game scene. They never created like communities and like in-person events like a lot of like pre-digital art forms did by necessity.
Mm. Oh, I get what you're saying. Like, we used to have those actual people like gathering together,
Yeah.
and someone was like an artist or someone was a poet.
Right. So you would have like art collectives would form because you have to go find the other artists who live near you. You can't just go to the
Mm.
internet.
I
Oh,
went
so,
to one of those once in Germany. It was like I would never went again. And there was even like friends of mine there, but
Right.
also a lot of people I didn't know. But it just kind of sucked.
Well,
it's
you can't.
probably because it's like a modern thing, right? Because probably like in the old days, I always think of them more romantically. I think in like before internet, they must have been cooler than now.
I think in
I mean,
online you just get to meet so many more people and not
Right.
just like people that live close to you, which is way better in my opinion.
Yeah.
yeah, it's obviously also personal because whenever I even so much as like go outside with friends, which I really don't do often, like when I come back home I'm just exhausted, socially exhausted. And I
Mm.
just have to sit at home and watch YouTube for an hour before
Yeah.
I'm normal
I've
again.
I used to be like that with this show. Even it would be like, oh, I just finished a convention. I'm just gonna lie around. But now I'm
There's
just
also
like,
this melancholy, right? Where you're
yeah,
like, ah, now it's all over and I'm alone again. It's a mix of exhaustion and sadness, maybe.
Yeah. No, I felt that melancholy like intensely when I was at TCAF for one day because my hotel had really spotty Wi-Fi.
Mm.
Or so I was like, wait a minute, now I don't have internet. Like the isolation like really sinks in. And I would usually just after an event I would just check out and go back to my hotel room, but I went back out to an after party because I was like, I feel so alone.
Oh, by the way, like, just unconnected questions. Do any of you guys like meditate? Like, is it a thing that you do?
No.
No. All right. Sorry.
I mean, I'm not, I can't. I don't speak for everybody, but I personally do not.
All right. No, I mean it's.
Yeah, I also don't.
I'd wonder what you have to say about it now that you brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like I don't want to sound like I'm in a cult or anything. It's just I don't know. For me, it's been a pretty healthy kind of thing because like I thought about it because Andrew, you said how you would like come back to a hotel room and like to me because of meditation like I got in mostly because of Lynch right because there's
Yeah.
there's like many celebrities just kind of saying oh meditation has changed my life but you have to pay like a lot of money to to learn how.
Right.
I never paid but I don't know, so to me personally meditation was a pretty cool thing. Sorry, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. So, like, to me, it helped me to concentrate more easily and to kind of manage solitude, so to say. Like, when you're on your own and, like, not in a company, if, like, with meditation, it gets not so boring. Like, this concept of boredom, it kind of becomes less present in your life when you start to with meditation, but regardless what it is, it's like it's not it can be anything, basically any type of meditation, whatever. It's been pretty cool to me, for me.
Oh yeah, that was like my realizing that I like when I go out, the only thing that like realizing how much I use the internet to be like a thing to keep me busy, even if it's just like idly watching videos while I sit on the hotel room bed and eat a pizza.
Yeah, I mean it's very natural for I think almost everybody right now. Um, I like I would normally to have like something playing in the background, but I personally think it's a good thing like when you actually learn to concentrate on one thing and it's like it becomes not that weird silent kind of sitting doing one thing, but when it's actually like when it becomes kind of natural. And I mean I think people before internet would actually live like this. But anyway, sorry for all that.
No, listen, you're on here the show to talk, not to just kind of like to not talk.
That's right. Yeah.
So I had a question that I asked earlier, but I have gonna ask 890 at the top of the show, but let's go around and ask everybody else, since it is for everyone from Fagots, which is, what is the most exciting project or anything upcoming can we look forward to from each of you, in parentheses, host included, heart?
Mm-hmm. So, Pizza, would you like to start?
Yes.
Sure. Well, I have this one video game. I've been working on it. I just checked. I have this log.txt, which is just kind of a diary. And every time I do anything about the game, I write it in there. It dates back to 2017, April. And I'm still working on that game. It's called... it has a name, if that's what you were going to say. It's called Skulls and Skeletons, and it's like the sequel to my most well, let's say the one popular game I made, which is called Skulls. And that you can kind of think of that as a point-and-click adventure game, but instead of a mouse, you just have your keyboard, and you have like a text box at the bottom where you can select like look and take and go, and then you can talk to people and stuff and take items and whatever.
Yeah.
And that game has been in development for like 5 years, and still in development, and it's still gonna take a lot of time.
Let's say at least as long as November 11th, 2015.
Whoa, that's cool. That's such a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time. It'll still take so long, but that's it's gonna be my magnum opus or whatever at some point in my life.
I've been there as well. That's part of why I started Indiepocalypse, because I kept making massive, or like going, I want to make a game, but it has to be like the right length for people for the gamers to accept it. So I kept making it longer, and I was like, I would get bored, and then I get really impatient or too busy. So I was like, well, what if I made a market for people like me who wanted to make games that were shorter? And then it still has not formed yet, but it's gonna get there eventually.
Yeah, it has to. I think I mean, people will probably like at some point they will get fed up with the AAA stuff, and
or even indies themselves are like still trying to monopolize. A lot of them are like, want to play their game for the rest of your life.
Right.
Everyone's got a roguelike nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Oh well. I mean, yeah, this is also like a problem, right? Like, well, people probably have talked about this too a lot of times, like about oversaturation and just how many of them there are and how similar some of them are.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Yes, I gave a slight talk on Indiepocalypse yesterday for Game Day Grats, and I define the Indiepocalypse as people complaining that the game, that their real flavor of the day game that rips off the popular game isn't selling. And then people go, I can't believe my version of fucking Slay the Spire didn't sell. It must be the Indiepocalypse's fault. When really you're just ripping off someone else's style, then complaining that you're very, I mean, it's very easy to see that in games, like the trend of something gets popular and then everyone has their version of that thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I've never actually understood the way of thinking. I mean, when I was a kid, I think I wanted to make games from a very kind of young age. Well, and I mean the first projects I thought of and the first projects I started were also first person shooters and so on. And I guess I liked some big titles and I wanted to kind of replicate them or do it my way. Yeah. But I mean, I suppose that must be why there are so many of those kind of imitations, so to say.
I screwed up. Everyone, I screwed up. I forgot to update the guest. I forgot to update the title. I knew I missed something. Oops. Oh well.
Oh no.
Oh no. To be fair, I don't know how many people read the titles, so
yeah,
I can update it now.
Oh yeah, it still says episode. Okay, that's
yes. Weird. Now it's updated. Now everyone's there properly.
We still got to pass on a question to the both of you, right?
Yes, Ilya. What have we got to be excited about what you're doing?
Oh well, I mean, it's just the Who's Lila project. That's perfect. The single thing I'm working on right now. I mean, I could pitch it a little bit. I could just talk about what it is for the people who
broadly
don't know
speaking,
yet.
You kind of alluded to what it was, but broadly, what would you say it is? Give me the log. I'm your publisher. Sell me your game.
Right. So Who's Lila is basically a point-and-click adventure game, but it's moving away from the meta a little bit, so to say. So the main mechanic is the dialogue system, where you don't actually choose what to say, but rather what emotion you will show. And for that, you have a handy huge face on the right side of the screen. And yeah, you just like you move parts of the face around with the mouse, and then a neural network just reads the expression.
Oh wow, that sounds crazy.
I thought it would be like impossibly difficult to actually realize, but it wasn't apparently. Like I've worked with neural networks a little bit before, but this like you just have a library. When it's just one face, it's just so easy to make a data set that would like. I already kind of like the results right now to like are pretty impressive. Like it reads emotions pretty well.
Yeah.
Although there's just like all the training data is just me moving handles around. It's great. Anyway, so
I don't want to rain on your parade, but imagine you could control the game with your actual face.
yeah, I actually get that like suggestion a lot, and I also think that there are like when I when I googled and researched for how to implement this thing, I think all I found was actually people trying to detect emotions from a webcam. So
Yeah.
I think there must be games like that already.
Right.
But yeah, it is a cool idea, but it would take much more. Well, of course, it would take much more training data because yeah, people have different faces,
Yeah,
and this
right.
one is much simpler. Anyway, and apart from that mechanic, the yeah, it will of course have this branching narrative. And I'd say that the plot, the story is the main thing, the main reason I wanted to make this game. I wanted to be a little bit enigmatic,
No, that's
so to say.
perfect.
And
Listen, you can be. People are allowed to be enigmatic about their stuff.
no, I mean the actual game.
Yeah.
Not me talking about it,
Oh,
but
okay.
so and I'd like it to be so. I mean, I've already kind of done a little stuff. Like, it's going to be this a little bit of a multi-medium project too. But
Okay.
I won't say more right now.
Oh, yes. Leave them a little taste for later. Oh,
That's right.
right. For my part, I'm got a bonus issue which is on the works next month, the following month. It's cool. If you go to my Instagram, you can probably actually find out who I'm collaborating with already. Because the cover artist asked if they could post it on their Instagram. I said, yeah, I don't really care. Go ahead. I'm not big about NDA. So if you find that and you find my likes, however those surface on that website, you will find the secret. Consider this to be a scavenger hunt for the secret who Indiepocalypse is collaborating with for this secret bonus issue. And,
Right.
I'm also what else? I actually opened Game Maker this week even.
Mm.
I want to do some.
Are you actually making something like right
Yeah,
now?
but like
Cool.
purely for fun, non-monetarily. I had an idea where I wanted to make the imagined ZX Spectrum game for Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. So I am making that using the ZX color palette and its weird ass control scheme. That's like it's like QAPO or something. It's really weird.
Oh.
Remember that there's only supposed to be like 2 colors in every like I don't know 4x4 tile configuration or whatever on the CX.
Oh no, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll cheat a little with that. Ace Sprite does have the like you can load up the ZX's palette, so you can at least do it like that. But it's really interesting, like looking at ZX games and seeing like how they operate under those like limited color palettes and how they design
Most of them just have 2 colors, kind of, but
Yeah.
some get creative.
a lot of black backgrounds.
Oh yeah, a lot.
But it's very but then you also have like Dizzy or something, which is maybe
Okay.
all the Dizzy I've seen is like Commodore because it always looks like it has way too many colors.
I think there's a bunch of Dizzy on the ZX.
But that's like my game. That I I get obsessed with RPGs. I want, but those are like way too massive to make. But I always get ideas for RPGs because it's like a weird old genre, and I want to.
You know what's another weird old genre?
Point and click adventure games, and we got two of them right.
Even all the text adventures.
You're talking to a guy who got his start in game dev using Adventure Game Studio.
Oh yeah, nice. I never even looked at that, but yeah, I probably should have even used that myself.
It's if you want to make an adventure game, it's very good.
I think text adventures are even like, I love them.
Yeah,
there's something great about them. It's like a fuse of books and games.
I have quite a few featured in Indiepocalypse you can check out. From issue 1 even, there are text adventures.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple, right?
Like Twine, is that what it's called?
There's a bunch of different ones. I think mostly there's Twine that show up, but I think the very first one is probably like Inform, I think.
Is that an engine?
Yeah, that's an engine it's like for parser based text adventures.
Yeah.
Hyperlink based ones.
Because I love making engines for some reason. I made a text adventure like engine, and it's so fun to do that. To finally have like your parser, and you can just type in whatever, and it parses it. And then from there, you can just kind of write a book or something.
I made something in C# that was like, you typed into the console. It asked you if you wanted to win the game, and then you typed into the console yes or no, and then it would tell you whether you had won the game.
Nice.
And I think I made it in ASCII. It was I made a "Do you want to win?" But it was a long time. I'm not a programmer, so that was a neat thing that I am never gonna touch again. I don't.
Also not a programmer, but it's actually pretty easy to program things if you just start, you know, from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm very lazy, or very. No. Listen, I gotta give myself the credit. I'm very busy.
Right. It kind of reminds me. Like at the beginning of this year, I had this very kind of ambitious project in mind, and I also made a parser for it. So like a parser was a part of it. It was like this game about coding, like a puzzle game about coding, and I'll never make a puzzle game. I think it's honestly the most difficult thing to ever make.
Yeah.
But the parser like had to parse code, and it worked. I was just so proud of it. Like it would actually have a syntax similar to C. It was obviously like a kind of fake code thing. You couldn't like, it was about debugging robots. Like such a cool concept, but you have to be huge, to actually make it interesting or to finish it.
You played Enter the Matrix? That has like this whole code thing. Where you need to go through all these files and have commands and stuff.
I might have like because I've researched like games that are about programming or somehow like connected with it, to get ideas. Now, I was I think I've seen more of those. Gee, I can't remember now, but there is like this studio that makes games just about kind of programming. Like you would have all those blocks and you would like rearrange them, and it was something with the assembly code. Anyway, so those were pretty popular, and I think I stumbled on those. But what you were describing.
There was one on Steam that had like the pretense of this old machine that you found in the attic of your uncle, and then it had like a very rudimentary manual, and you just had to kind of figure out how that thing worked, and it was something about assembly, I think, and binary and whatever.
Yeah, I think it might have been that, but I also don't remember exactly. Well, I don't know. I mean, the whole premise is, apart from being like kind of complex, I think it would have been a bit boring, like for the casual player, so to say. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't made it, so no use of speculating whether it would be boring or not.
Yeah, and listen, who cares? You don't need casual players. You need 10 real niche players.
Yes, you're so right. Like with Tigotchi, um yeah, so it's like obviously my most successful kind of project, and I'm just so lucky. So why I'm saying this is like I think that the sole reason why it got like the kind of success it has is because it has like from the get go it has found its kind of niche like just immediately.
Yeah.
So the tipping point was of course Manly Badass Hero was the first guy to like make a video on it. The first no he wasn't the first one of course, but he was the guy who actually started this kind of like made it much more public. I'm not sure if you know this. Like he's a YouTuber, like an indie game YouTuber.
I don't know this person.
It's yeah. I mean like there are quite many of them. But I've tried like to it's funny. I tried to contact him before, but like his Twitter was closed, and I didn't succeed in that. And he just found it by himself. And so yeah, the point is that his viewers are the exact niche for Tigotchi. They were like I think just so many of them just went and then bought it. It was beautiful. So you're right, absolutely right. It's about the niche players usually.
Oh yes, no. I looked it up, and yes, there are quite a lot of video of upwards of 100,000 view videos you got here.
Yeah, like there's a couple of them. At the start, it was just so kind of magical to me because like it's the second project I made, and I did make it with a thought of making a bit of money, but I never ever like thought it would be that big.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, did you find a lot of them, like a lot of these videos, like actually, because this comes up occasionally where, I mean, I'm looking at these clips, and it's a lot of people like, "Oh, check out this video," and it's kind of like, wow, what were those devs thinking? Kind of videos that sometimes don't actually translate into people caring about your games.
Well, I didn't necessarily get a lot of that. I did get people that, well, of course, criticized it. I did get a lot of people that didn't understand what my intent was.
Yeah.
A lot of people who thought I was like a sadist or something. It's all right. It's like to me, well, first of all, it's only natural, and secondly, it kind of shows that the game's popular too. Because if something's like has some amount of attention, you will get people who don't really get why
Right.
it has it. I mean, it's all right. So I, I just remembered like about this whole sadist thing. There is a video on YouTube. I think it's like it's a creepypasta video. It's 40 minutes long. It's about Tigotchi, and it's like a guy YouTuber has came up with a creepypasta about Tigotchi, and at the end of this, I, like Garage Heathen, the person, go to jail without parole. Like the FBI gets me for I don't know for uploading
for uploading this
alright.
cursed exe that you trap someone in.
Yes, it was about that. It's not exactly what I conceived it to be, but
Yeah.
it's I really like just the amount of different things people come up with, because I'm intentionally I don't explain too much. So
Right.
there's like this, for example, Martyr ending, which is one of my favorites, and I never really like talk what about what happens. And I find like just the sheer amount of different things people come up with just so cool. And of course, I haven't really seen anything. Well, because just because it means something very personal to me, people won't be able to just guess it. So, and that's what I find to be very beautiful. Like,
right. Sometimes someone asks you a question and you laugh and say nothing.
yeah. I mean, I kind of feel bad a little bit, but it's a thing I've promised myself to do, and I feel like that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And,
sometimes your art doesn't need to be explained to people, or
I feel like there are no times when you need to explain something. I'm there. Like I'm a huge fan of David Lynch. Yeah. And so his outlook on art, and I feel that's like for me at least, it's like the right outlook. So when you make an artwork, it's there. Like what you want to say is there. It's the artwork. You don't want to say more. If you wanted, you would like include it in the artwork.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what you wanted to say, but not in the form of words, but in the form of whatever you made. And when like it's for example, like with music, people don't usually expect you to explain what happens in like an instrumental track or anything.
Yeah,
it's an abstract art, and I feel that's a beautiful thing. And I feel like all of art is like that. But we are a bit used to to explanations and to plots and so on.
To after movie releases, to being able to go out online and have the ending explained to me by 13 YouTube videos.
Yeah. I used to watch that, and now I hate this so much because like when you realize that you yourself have the freedom to interpret, and your interpretation is by no means less valuable than those 13 YouTubers, it's like it's such a great feeling. You feel just. And you can watch basically anything when you have this outlook. You could watch Tarkovsky, you could watch Lynch, you could watch, any kind of abstract movies. You just start to enjoy them. I find this great.
Yeah, it took a lot of years to kind of like untrain that desire to always be right, and then like slowly learn that it's perfectly fine to like say watch a movie and not fully understand it immediately, and for after like to sit on it and maybe never fully understand it, but as long as you kind of like understand what it means to you.
Yes. I mean, like, I feel that like any piece of art, like the understanding or the meaning, so to say, it always comes from you, like the viewer. Yeah. So, I mean, I would go on about this forever, because like I love this topic, and I love talking about how like it's not very important even what the author's intent is usually.
Right.
Like with I'm from Russia, okay. And we have we have like a cult Russian movie called Brother. And it's a cult classic, right? It came out in the 90s by Balabanov, and the great thing about this, and why it's important, that the author himself, he wanted to make like this cheap kind of shallow thing just to make some money. Yeah. And it has become a cult classic. It has like people have found much more meaning and much much more things, much more content there than the author conceived initially, and that means and I don't think that means like that the people just love to find meaning where there isn't right. One.
It's very easy to look for meaning very hard and not find it.
Yeah, but I believe like when you have a film like this, like that becomes like this, that gets this really kind of cult following. I believe it's more about the author just unintentionally feeling something that resonates with many people, and he may not even be intending to do so.
Right, because even if you're walk in with the intent of dashing something off really quickly, you're still making it. You're still putting yourself into it, and all the actors are still putting themselves into it. Like, it's hard. You have to like intentionally divorce yourself from it in order to make something that's like truly like tasteless, not tasteless in terms of like having no taste, rather than not like taste in terms of, that's a bad word because we use taste to describe like quality or.
Do you want to have a bit of opposition, or are you good on that? On that subject, I have a contrasting opinion of David Lynch that I could voice. I don't need to.
What do you mean?
No, you're free to. Listen, we are an open discussion show here.
All right, so I watched all of Twin Peaks like 2 months ago, and I was really hyped for it. I was wanting that like box set for years because everybody thought that I would love David Lynch because I love cryptic stuff. I love like things with a touch of supernatural or whatever. So I watched it all, and I did like stuff about it, but I was left incredibly disappointed by the end of the first 2 seasons, by the end of the 3rd season, which was made way later. I felt exactly the same way about Eraserhead, which is another movie by David Lynch. And I didn't really want to say anything because I can't put my finger on why. So I tried to, in my head, compare it to things that I like and that are somewhat similar. And Lovecraft comes to mind for me because I really enjoy Lovecraft stories. Because a lot of them also don't tell you like what the fuck was up with all of this horror shit.
Yeah.
But I'm left very satisfied because I get just enough for me to be like, okay, I kind of get what's going on. I don't get the full picture. I can still have a lot of my own thoughts about this, but at least I get something. But with Lynch, it's like he asks a million questions and answers not a single one of them. Instead, he asks even more questions in the moment that you're waiting for at least a single answer for anything. So you're left with this giant amount of questions that you can find your own answers to. But then when I try, I'm like, no, you know what? It's impossible. That he doesn't even leave me the slightest clue for anything. There's no point in thinking about any of this because it's so cryptic. I might as well not even start. And that's kind of what I dislike about Lynch, that he like has no regard for you as the viewer, basically.
Oh, well, I wouldn't agree with the last statement, but no, I completely, I get what you're saying. So of course, about the difference between Lovecraft and Lynch, I would say that when you're not talking about like the concepts, but rather the story composition, I would say that Lovecraft's story composition is very clear. Like that's why you get the satisfaction. Like you, well, I mean, it's when you try to analyze why you like something or not, I think you always come back to the kind of the very, very basic things that the thing is made of, right? So like you have the story and you may analyze the story and you may find like many intricate things there, but it all comes like the story is kind of secondary. The first thing you experience is right, the text or the story kind of composition, or in a movie you see pictures and so on. And yeah, with with Lynch, like to me, this lack of answers is a beautiful thing, because what you said, like you get frustrated and you don't even want to bother because you know that you won't get a definite answer, right? And I don't know, like to me, this for me, Lynch was always interesting because well, he always says that there is like an answer, so it exists in the head.
Yeah, well, there's that quote of him that's saying like Eraserhead is my most spiritual film, and he has to elaborate on it. He says no.
Well, so just the fact that it's not like a random. I mean, how do I put it in words? Like, to be honest, even if it was like a random kind of a sequence of images, if it means something to you, if you feel like, if you intuitively kind of feel moved, or if you feel that there's something close to you personally, it isn't anymore a kind of a random set of images. Like with Lynch, oftentimes you kind of just look mesmerized at what's happening. You may not understand it. Like for me, it's sometimes like, like when you're looking at the sun setting or something. You don't really think about it being logical, or about an answer being behind it, or what it means. But it's usually, something that hits closely. I do understand this. It is very different from what you usually get, and understand the frustration too. So you never get the answers. They will never be given to you. You like Lynch himself says that you know the answers, like intuitively. You can't sometimes you can't really like put it in words, but if you watch a movie and you feel that it hits closely for some reason, then there is something in it, and it has some like value. And with Lynch's movies, just like to me, like this raw experience, just the emotions that he was able to evoke with his very abstract kind of images and sound and so on, just these very unexplained or illogical emotions that I'm sorry, just an idea came to mind. So I believe that in film and in books and so on, the actual feelings you feel, they aren't necessarily like tied to a story. So like you can have a beautiful story, but if you write it poorly, it won't be satisfying, or it won't like generate the needed emotions. So what the basic kind of elements are the so to say the like for example, the most simple example is when in a horror movie you get a I don't know, a loud sound, and that makes you startled. That's like that's in any horror movie. That's not tied to a story usually.
Right. It's a very visceral reaction.
Yeah, and for example, I don't know, if there's like an active scene and then a still scene and then an active scene again, you get this kind of feeling of rhythm, and this feels satisfying. And this isn't also kind of connected to the story usually. It's just generally satisfying to see that.
I'm thinking about an anime which we watched recently where every single episode made me cry. It's like I was just watching this anime at some point just expecting, okay, I'll cry. I didn't even like, of course I care about the story and whatever, but that's one of the things that I got from this anime. I knew I was gonna cry, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
It's just a emotion that it is able to generate inside of you.
It ticks the things for the like in the right ways for you. Do you have a name for this anime? So
that's Fruits Basket.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see, because I think things connect with people in different ways. I often I am on this show, in a valid one of those Lynch heads. I'm a big fan of his work generally, but I really like the very human element I feel is present in a lot of his stories, and that's what I connect to the most. Is like I love the yes, I like the abstractness and the visuals, and sometimes just the pure audio intensity of that one episode of Twin Peaks. It's just a lot of noise for a long time, and but I think for me what underpins it all is there are people in his stories, and it's weird.
Yes,
it weirdly connects to humanity underneath all of the avant-garde abstractness of it all, and I think that's to tie it all up as we approach our 2-hour mark of this show and wrap it up. As I think the beauty of art is that it means everything to different people, and I think that's where niche art comes in, especially is that because it speaks so specifically in such a specific way that it's a lot easier to get really intensely invested in it and also bounce off it for it to not connect with you at all, because as it drives for it to be a more specific thing, Everybody likes chips because they're just salt and potato. Whether you're in Europe or in the US, chips are just salt and potato, and it's very easy to eat.
Yep.
Right.
But once you've got fucking David Lynch over here crafting like, well, I got some snail meat that I prepared for you, and people are like, I don't know anymore. Even from a presentational standpoint, people are like, I'm not sure after you told me what it was that I'm not gonna eat it, and then like to bring it all back, just like I think it's good. I think it's good that people have like differing opinions, and I liked just being here and neither of you convincing that the other person was right, which is honestly, it's a good feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
To see it every now and then.
Discourse.
For people to disagree and not have to be, well, I'm wrong. You're wrong because I disagree with you. But
There's
speaking,
no wrong or right.
Well, in this topic, we can't really be wrong. It's
exactly
when it's about abstract art. Well, like about art in general.
And how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, how can you be wrong there?
Yeah, but unless anyone has any last pressing matters to get to, any final questions, any final statements, we're gonna wrap this up.
I want to tell you that you have a great show here. It's super fun.
Yes,
thank you.
I agree. Thank you so much. This was very, very interesting.
No, I'm glad to have you here. I very much wanted to replicate end of show events where people just kind of hang out and talk. And I'm hoping this show facilitates some of that in this locked down world, and I guess in this international world where it would be a lot harder for all of us to wind up at the same event. I mean, where would we be? Like a maze or something? That's the only.
What a maze!
That's the only reasonable one that I can imagine the four of us all being at. But even that, it's a very far trip for me.
Right.
Well, but I think you captured that perfectly. Just end of the show, hanging out, discussing random things. Perfect.
Yeah, and with mild interviews to give indie developers who have no voice otherwise, or had a voice at one point, but the blog that once wrote about him has since been deleted from the internet, which I've seen in a couple of cases of games submitted. I'm like, oh, these have really good pull quotes from sites that no longer exist. The games outlived the websites. But so let's go around the horn of that I can see, that if you're listening you don't see, which is, Ilya, what have you got to plug?
Well, not much really. Just thank you again for having me, and I really hope that this show and the designs get on like with more people, because it should. I think it should.
I'll have you know that I have a couple of game journalists who say I like the idea, but I don't know how to write about it. So that's something.
Yeah, well, game.
But where can they find your work? People, that is. Where do they find your work specifically? Where would they go?
You mean my work?
Yeah, your work.
I mean, oh, sorry. So my work, you can check out my Twitter. I suppose it's like the most popular thing that I have. I also use like this Russian social network VK. So in Twitter it's at Heathen Garage. You can find me pretty easily on itch.io. It's Garage Heathen on itch.io. And so I usually post on Twitter, so you can find the updates on my stuff there.
Perfect. Pizza, what have you got to plug?
Well, I You know Terry Kavanagh, however that's pronounced, the guy that made
Terry
VVV,
Kavanagh.
VVV. Yeah, he started making Roblox games, and he made one where you get randomly hit by lightning or you don't, and that's the game, and that's fantastic. Everybody should play that all the time. That's what I want to plug.
Perfect.
Apart from that,
a new generation of Roblox games.
Yeah. But if you want to find me and my stuff, just type Pizza Makes Games into Google and then go onto Twitter or Itch or whatever.
Perfect. And I've learned to put these all in the chat. 890, are you here? 890.
I think he left. So
he did. I'm going to leave now. It's really late here. Sorry. I am really bad at reading the Discord messages. Anyway, that's how. If you go to 890.itch.io, you will find stuff there. A lot of interesting, good games as well. Like a lot of them. Voidless, I think, was the game that was coming out soon. Mm-hmm. Should I remember? Mm-hmm. I don't. Or the Amaze Jam. There's probably a game coming out for that. Or Amaze Game Jam. I forget what it's called. Anyway.
Not sure what the jam was called exactly.
Yeah, because it was that thing where I do this on the show occasionally where I will mispronounce someone's name because I took a shot and I was wrong, and then they'll tell me the right thing, and then I'll confuse the right thing and the wrong thing in my brain, and then I'll be wrong again. And in this case, because I alluded to it being part of a maze, the two are intermingled in my brain now. But anyway, 890, O not being a 0, being the letter O.itch.io. And Garage Heathen has a dash between Garage and Heathen.
Right.
I've learned that sometimes you just spell things out when you recognize that this is an audio format. Anyway, speaking of things to plug, I've got Indiepocalypse. I recommend you go and purchase it. Maybe purchase issues 11, 16, and 8. They're good issues of Indiepocalypse. You can submit your own games to indiepocalypse.com/submit. You can sign up for the newsletter, and you get to look at all the zines themselves for free. And you get a very short email from me once a month that has coupons in it, and it has me saying an issue came out, please share it. And that's it. I hate receiving newsletters, so I return that feeling onto everybody else by sending no newsletters out. Yes, starting on September. Look forward to September. This was the other project I'm excited. September 3rd, is the first annual Indiepocalypse Pledge Drive, where I'm going to see if I can make my money back by hosting a whole long live show on this very channel from, I'm thinking, 9 to 5 EST. That's English or Eastern time for all the Americans in the world that believe our time revolves around that time New York lives in. This show, hey, can I host and produce an 8-hour-long show and add that to my resume as another thing that I can do? Maybe. We'll find out in a few months from now. I think that's... No, you know what? That's not it. There's one more very important thing, which is indiepocalypse.com/RPG Maker. I want to make an RPG Maker game where we all ship around the same copy of RPG Maker 2 for the PlayStation 2 and take turns each month working on it and making a long game out of it. And then...
That does sound incredible.
I love the concept of the exquisite corpse immensely. And I want to do that. So also, I keep forgetting to mention this on Twitter, but if you have a PlayStation 2 that you would like to donate to the project or sell me very cheaply, let me know about it. Because I feel like if Slim's preferred to shave on shipping costs. Because that's the problem, is that I own a PS2, but not everybody owns a PS2. They don't just have them all lying around still. And if you're like not in the U.S., even if you had one, I couldn't just mail you the disc because unless you had a modded PS2, it wouldn't run. But whatever. We're closing down the show. buy Indiepocalypse. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want. If you just showed up in the show last minute and you're like, I missed the show. I wish I could hear it. If you sign up for the Patreon $5 tier, you get the show on Monday. Otherwise, you gotta wait a month because I wasn't archiving them at all. But then I had a month's worth when I decided to. So I was like, that's how Patreons work. You withhold things for time until people pay you.
Yep.
And I would like to be paid. If you know someone who doesn't work in games, who is looking for someone with self-publishing experience to pay them to do artwork so I can have an arts job instead of a boring job that I currently have, let me know. I am very good at self-publishing and could probably do any job in that field pretty easily. I've organized a lot. Whatever. I'm shutting the show down. I'm bored of myself I'm bored of plugging myself. Buy the shit. Tell people also to buy the shit or just to talk about it. People only talk about the things that everybody's talking about. So if everyone starts talking about Indiepocalypse, everyone can start talking about Indiepocalypse. It's a vicious, impossible cycle. I need to get a chicken, but I don't have an egg to get a chicken from.
Oh, you'll get there. I think it will.
I think it will. I think it's, but occasionally people think this is like a company that I don't run that there are more people than just me, or that it's more successful than it seems. So I
mean, it looks successful.
Yeah.
Like from my standpoint, it looked very, very cool, and that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. That's why I need to also remind people every now and then. No. It's just me. I just run it. Also, it's not successful.
Oh.
Or like it not successful in terms of it loses money. I think it's very successful in terms of like its stated goal.
Yeah.
Of collecting a bunch of weird games and making a curated collection that people can always look back on and go, wow, these games are cool. Good thing they're all in one place.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how successful you can be if making money is not your goal.
Yes, it's very easy if you are personally satisfied with yourself.
Right. I mean, it's still kind of like defines tastes of some people. Well, I like to believe that Indiepocalypse would like do that.
Yeah. I mean, I have dreams of being one day the video game Criterion Collection.
Right.
But
be great.
That would be cool. But I also would love to, if I had more money, I could like more earnestly like do like updated publishing, like, do port work of weird indie games that are long forgotten and only survive in like the Internet Archive.
Yeah, that's usually like very interesting. It's so much weird stuff there.
Yeah, because people have been making indie games so long as games existed. So,
and
a lot of those are probably lost to time or semi-lost. And I like preservation work. What is this?
Still have a C64 floppy disk that there's a game, like a fan game for, what's it called in English? Where the one that has Rover, this big white ball, and people are on an island and shit. The Prisoner, exactly. It's a fan game of The Prisoner made by my dad.
What?
And it exists only on that one floppy disk. And I played it like a couple months ago, but I'm the only person in the world that gets to play that.
Yeah, you should. If you have a way to get Commodore files onto a modern computer, you should upload that.
I had a disk drive for floppy disks that made my CPU explode.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I need a new one.
That sounds fascinating.
There's another one with dinosaurs that he made just for me back when I was into dinosaurs.
That's okay. That is very cool stuff. That's the kind of thing I'd be like, yes, how can I port that to the Nintendo Switch? Yeah. But anyway, so that people can play it. And games are weird because you can't just like say, here's the film, now I'm going to put it on a Blu-ray. You have to like port it and reinvent shit, and it's weird and annoying. But
at least you can like record a video of it and be like, well, there it is. You can play it, but it exists.
And to be fair, emulation is pretty good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People
Especially
just like
with old stuff.
I think we just need eventually to work towards a console that is just like it's a RetroArch but a console, and we just need to accept, and just like companies just need to sell ROMs and ISOs online. Just do it.
Isn't that Mister, which does a pretty good job?
Yes, yeah, I've thought about a Mister, but I'm cheap and my computer runs RetroArch just fine.
Mm. I got this Emu VR where you play in virtual reality and you have all your consoles and TVs and stuff. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I have them all still in boxes around me, but I'm lazy and I don't want to have to plug in. I think I even got anyway. Listen, folks. We did our usual thing where we did our plugs. We tried to send off, and then we got in the weeds about some other bullshit. So I'm gonna close down the show. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you all. Good night. Good afternoon to me. I can go and get food. Goodbye.